Hey everyone, it's Brano, and today I wanted to ask the question, how long does your game need to be? Now, I think that scoping your game is extremely important because you need to be able to finish it and you need to have enough content to make your player base happy. So, understanding how long the average player is going to take to complete your game is really important. So, the first question you want to ask is, are you going to hit the 2 hour refund window? So, if a player completes your game in under 2 hours, they can refund it. They can refund any game under 2 hours that they spent. So there's been a lot of concern for people who make these tiny games that the refund rate may be a little high and that they're just going to be getting scammed by the customer. But based on multiple comments I've seen over the years, it doesn't look like that's much of a reality. Like, as long as the game is cheap and the customer enjoyed the experience, they will typically not refund the game. So while I'm sure that there are some people who abuse the system, it doesn't seem to be in mass enough to be a concern. So if you are making a tiny, cheap game that's pretty decent quality, I wouldn't worry about refunds. Now, another common phrase you used to hear was that gamers expect $1 of game, like 1 hour of game for per dollar that they spend, and they believe that to be a reasonable request. But even when this phrase was popular, you had these AAA single player games which would have 10 hours of highly custom, like high quality gameplay experiences, and that would end up being $6 per hour of gameplay. So even when this phrase was becoming a thing, it was already sort of outdated. So I don't think that like raw play time is the correct metric. Instead, I think you need to distinguish between raw play time and novel play time. So raw play time is just the total number of hours the customer has spent playing your game. This is an objective metric, but it can be misleading if they left the game to run overnight. Novel playtime, on the other hand, is the total number of hours that the customer feels like they are experiencing something new. And this is not an objective metric. It is a highly subjective metric. Each player may experience novelty for longer or less time based on how much they are engaging with a particular new mechanic. And as a developer, you should be watching people play your game and playing your game yourself to sort of realize or get a better idea of when things feel fresh and new and when things feel repetitive. So novel gameplay would be like unlocking a new skill and learning how to use it. It would be discovering new areas. It would be fighting a unique boss for the first time and learning its mechanics. Whereas repetitive gameplay would be using a skill that you've mastered at the start of the game again to solve an issue. It would be revisiting an existing area again, and it would be your 20th attempt on a difficult boss. Now, repetitive gameplay by itself is not a bad thing, and you want to have some repetitive gameplay within your game. But the problem with over-relying on repetitive gameplay is that you are competing against free-to-play live service games. These games, they have a core gameplay loop that once you learn the basics, aka the novelty, you start getting this slow drip feed of player progression, whether it be skill or in-game rewards. And all of this costs the player $0, which means gamers have been conditioned to value repetitive gameplay at a near $0 per hour basis when making their purchasing decision. If they are buying a game for repetitive gameplay, the content per hour is not really in their mind. They're going to be buying it for something else. And I wanted to bring out an example that I've had to experience and made me think a bit more deeply about how long does my game need to be. So in my game Heal to Death, I got a negative review on it that had 26 hours of game time on it. And the complaint was that there wasn't enough content. Now, initially, I'm like, 26 hours of gameplay for $15 is not a bad deal. I was quick to go, maybe I'm wrong about this. Let me think about this just a little bit deeper. And I really should have been just asking, how much of those 26 hours felt novel, and how much of those 26 hours felt like repetitive gameplay? Now, it could be the case that this person wanted 100 hours of repetitive slow drip feed progression in my game, but I think the main thing that I was lacking in this game was that there wasn't enough novel content, because it is a very systematic game and I couldn't engage them in new mechanics for long enough. So to answer the question, how long does your game need to be? I really think that you just have to match the amount of novel content within similar games at similar price points. A little bit of repetition isn't that bad to pad out a little bit, but you definitely need to know what the standards of the genre are. It's a messy answer to a messy problem, but I don't think there's anything objective I can say on how long your game needs to be. So that's it for me. Have a good one, guys. Bye.